Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Jacob Campbell here with your WeatherNow forecast. So, before we get into the forecast today, I wanted to take a look at the Storm Prediction Center's area of storm risk today. And so, we see that, and I assumed that this slight risk area would push into southern Oklahoma. And as the day goes on, I wouldn't be surprised if this marginal risk starts to spread into Texas a little bit, because there is a significant amount of instability in northern Texas. But we see this marginal risk. It has spread to the northeast, actually quite a bit. It was pretty bullseye in Oklahoma, but it's pushed off. The hail and the wind chances are significantly higher than the tornado risk, but there is still a 5%. Oh no, they've lowered it to 2% since I last looked at it. It's there. Wait, there we go. Okay. So they lowered it to 2% since I last looked at it, but in this area of the just north of Tulsa into Joplin, Missouri, and other parts of southeastern Kansas and whatnot, and northeastern Oklahoma. It's been a really odd build up to this storm. So I'm going to actually talk to a couple of my professors about it and see what they know, see what they, can tell me about it. We also have this little marginal risk up in the Colorado area, which you guys kind of need rain because the last few days I've noticed that you have had a risk for forest fires. And so also most of New Mexico is in that little forest fire risk area. So be careful. It's going to be very windy, so fire will spread very quickly if you're in the New Mexico, Colorado area. Just kind of be a little cautious about where you're throwing those cigarettes or where you're starting a fire and where the embers are going and whatnot. So anyway, moving on to temperatures. So while I was editing the temperature maps that I make, my program crashed as I was almost done with it, and we're nearing 5 o'clock, which is when I'm supposed to upload. So I went through some steps to try to fix it, but this is going to be the most, the easiest way at this point to get a video out at least a little closer to on time. I should have everything fixed by Sunday, because I will upload a video on Sunday around 5 for to come out for the Monday forecast, because I'm not going to include Monday in this forecast. I like my forecasts to be more accurate, and so I'll never forecast a severe storm more than 3 days out again, because I did that last time for Wednesday. Sorry, I did that for Friday on Tuesday or Monday, and that didn't end up going very well. So I'm not going to forecast 3 days out for severe thunderstorms, and I'm also going to just do a 2-day temperature every time I do it, except for on Sundays when I'll forecast for Monday. Anyway, moving on to the temperatures here, we see that front that I've been talking about. There's a little stationary front out through the Midwest, really. The low pressure system is kind of centered out here in the Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska area. There's also going to be a chance of snow through those areas. I'm already seeing some winter storm advisories for the Nebraska, Kansas area. And there'll just be some of this cold air in here that will help support it, especially as you get into the nighttime when this all really cools down. But we see that the transition from colder, like 40s and 50s, to warmer 60s and 70s down here. And there aren't really a whole lot of 80s to be spoken of, except for in Arizona, California, and Texas, and parts of Florida. I may have already said Florida. Regardless, these are your Saturday forecasts. So if you're to the north and to the west of this little frontal system up here, it's going to be colder than if you were to the southeast. We also have, areas of New England that are going to be experiencing some colder temperatures. So in the 40s and 50s for most of you, not nearly as cold as it's been for you guys. So that's a definite plus. Sorry about that. So moving on to day 3, which is Sunday, temperatures, we see that frontal system really passes through, bringing temperatures mainly in the 50s to a lot of the country, the Great Plains, the Texas area, parts of the Deep South, maybe some localized 60-degree temperatures, and this little polar, like, high-pressure system moving into the Great Lakes area, bringing some 20s as highs and high 20s, low 30s in Michigan, and then 30-degree temperatures throughout Indiana, Ohio, maybe mostly 40s in Indiana, but Ohio, some localized areas of high 20s in around the Erie, Pennsylvania area and Cleveland, Ohio, as well as parts of New York, and then you also see some 30 and 40-degree temperatures throughout the state of New York. The New England area is still going to stay pretty warm with these temperatures down here in the 60s. Florida is going to stay warm. Most of the East Coast is going to stay warm as this system really pushes out toward the ocean. So the warm temperatures are really being concentrated in here. Florida gets a warm up from what it saw yesterday, some temperatures pushing into the mid-80s. And the West Coast is also looking fairly warm with temperatures in the 70s and some 80s in Southern California and Arizona. Washington, around the coast, you're going to have some warmer temperatures, so temperatures mainly in the 60s for Oregon and Washington, as well as some areas in the interior of those states, maybe even Idaho, that has temperatures in the mid-60s. So, moving on to, there we are. Storm risk for Saturday. So this is pretty much, there's a marginal risk for severe storms in the Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi area down here. And then there's just this threat of thunderstorms stretching from Texas to Ohio, with most states in between, that diagonal there. And there's going to be a decent amount of atmospheric instability in this marginal risk for severe storms area. And so the biggest threat right now looks to be wind, which it's not going to be horribly windy, but also you could get some pop-up thunderstorms that will bring hail as well. It's not looking like it's going to be too unstable, so we'll see how that kind of pans out, but it looks to be mainly a moderate wind to moderate hail event for areas in this little marginal risk for severe storms. And obviously, like I said before, the thunderstorms stretching along that stationary front as well as that cold front. Moving on to Sunday's risk for storms, we've got this little area, as I said, those fronts were pushing to the coast. And so we've got the area in this North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and parts of Texas, as well as parts of northern Florida. You can all expect just some thunderstorm development. Nothing looks too severe at this point, as well as parts of western Texas and parts of New Mexico, which New Mexico definitely needs the precipitation because they have that risk for forest fires going on, or fires in general in the area. I guess there aren't a whole lot of forests in New Mexico. But then we also see this area of thunderstorms in the Four Corners area. So Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah, you can expect some thunderstorms in that area. And there, once again, nothing looks too severe at this point. So we will keep you up to date. Between my channel and David Schlotthauer's channel, we'll keep you up to date on how these storms are looking, but they're really going to weaken as they push toward the coast, and these are just little disturbances. They're nothing super organized at this point. So I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did, and I hope that you have a wonderful Friday, have a nice weekend, and I will see you all on Sunday. Thank you.